and welcome to this episode of Visionary Voices from Purdue Engineering. I'm Arvind Raman. I'm the John A. Edwardson Dean of Engineering, and I'll be your host for this evening. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge today's solemn date. We extend our deepest sympathies to the families of those who passed from us on that fateful day, a day that we will never forget. A day we will never forget. I'd also like to take the opportunity here to acknowledge the presence of some special guests who are with us today. Will all the members of the Engineering Advisory Board who are with us please stand so we might recognize you for your support and service. I'm really excited to introduce our guest of honor tonight, Jennifer Rumsey, alumna of the School of Mechanical Engineering. Any Emmys? There you go. Lots of Emmys. Alumna of the School of Mechanical Engineering, recipient of the honorary doctorate in engineering from Purdue University. She is the chair and CEO of Cummins Incorporated, an iconic American company that was born in Columbus, Indiana, 106 years ago. Today has nearly 70,000 employees in 190 locations worldwide. Cummins today is a global leader in innovative power solutions for a variety of sectors, from trucking to AI data centers. Will you please join me in welcoming Jen Rumsey to the stage? Jen, it's always great to have you back on campus. Welcome to Visionary Voices.
Thanks, Arvind. I really appreciate the invitation. It doesn't take a lot to get me back to a Purdue campus. A little disappointed that I won't be seeing a football game or a basketball game this time, but I know there'll be another opportunity, and I always love the chance to interact with students. I got to check the crowd out here if I can.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, are there any mechanical engineer students in the crowd? All right, good. How about anybody from Columbus, Indiana? Okay, got a few. Nice, thank you. Hey, Jeff. And any Cummins employees, retired employees, or former interns that are out there? Oh, excellent. Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is great. And next time we'll be sure to put a football or basketball game behind it, Jen. This is great. Jen, you and your family have had such a big history with Purdue Engineering, with engineering. Your husband, Jim, is an ECE alumnus. Your daughter, Helen, just graduated last year. I remember her graduation day. That was really nice. And then your second daughter is still here in mechanical engineering, Catherine. And you're the daughter of an engineer.
Yeah, Rose graduate, not Purdue, but yes.
Yeah. Close it up, but an engineer, that's great. So quite a connection to Purdue University. You've also had a fantastic career, and if you don't mind, I can just highlight some of the salient parts from our point of view. You studied mechanical engineering, obviously, at Purdue University, and during that time, you did multiple internships at Cummins.
Right.
4, in fact, if I remember. And then you graduated from here, you went to Massachusetts, and you started working in a fuel cell startup company, decided to get a master's in mechanical engineering from MIT, and then in 2000, you returned to Cummins and started your career there. And while at Cummins, you've seen a variety of roles, from engineering to quality, executive leadership, until 3 years ago when you were named the chair and CEO of Cummins, right? That was exciting. In the same company where you started as an intern.
Yeah.
How about that? That's pretty interesting. So those students out there, if you're getting ideas,
Never
it's
know.
possible. It's possible. So when you look back at this amazing career at Cummins and kind of map it back to your time here at Purdue while you were studying mechanical engineering, what do you see are key learnings and experiences that you had at Purdue that helped prepare you for key pivots in your career?
Yeah, it's such a great question. First, I'll say growing up in Columbus, Indiana, I would have never imagined I would have been back there working, definitely not as CEO of the company. And I do think that, there's these pivotal people and experiences that really shape us and shape the trajectory of our career. And it's important to open and watch for those things and learn from those people in those moments. So like the first key thing for me was a person, Columbus, Indiana, Cummins engineering leader, went on to be Chief Technical Officer, John Wall, who encouraged me to pursue engineering to begin with. And that resulted in me coming here to Purdue to study. I actually just asked my mom today, when did I first visit Purdue? She said I came to a Women in Engineering event here at Purdue when I was a junior in high school.
Wow.
We were an IU family. I grew up an IU fan. It was engineering that brought me here to Purdue. So, so to your question, how did Purdue shape me? There's a few things I would say. First, for me, before I came to Purdue, school was very easy. When I came to Purdue, the classes were hard, and every semester I'd start and think, I don't know if I can do this. And then I would. I'd figure it out, I'd learn, I would do fine. And that taught me confidence in myself and the importance of being able to learn and overcome things when things are challenging, which is, common in life. Sophomore design class in mechanical engineering was really pivotal to learn about problem solving, teamwork. I also had a really fun team, so I subscribed to the work hard, play hard philosophy, and that, really started with that sophomore design class. Had some leadership opportunities, in those early days here at Purdue and SWE. Worked as a counselor in freshman engineering when I was an upperclassman. So, just a lot of formative experiences. I'd be remiss to leave out the fact that I met my husband Jim here, as you noted.
Right,
He's a Purdue graduate too. So, Purdue has had a big impact on really that foundation of where my career went from there.
Any SWE members here? You go, woohoo! That's great. It's remarkable how those formative experiences. I mean, you spoke to teamwork. You spoke to, self-confidence, the ability to. You can do it, right?
Yeah, because I still do that. Sometimes I start a job and I don't know if I can do this, but you remember, you can overcome those things.
Because you've done it at Purdue. It's hard, it's tough, all our students know it, but you figure it out, and that learning just persists.
Right.
You can do it, that's really important. Jen, let's go to your career at Cummins. When you started in 2000, revenues roughly around $6 billion, and then just last fiscal year, $34 billion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
My God, that's a huge increase in revenues. So as you look across that arc of history, what do you think are the main driving factors, that led to that growth of business for Cummins? And as you look at your own career, how do you map what roles you played that maybe influenced that growth at Cummins?
Yeah, so I started by saying I never would have imagined I'd go back to Cummins. As you mentioned, I moved to Boston. Got my master's at MIT, worked for a fuel cell startup company. And I came back to Cummins because I wanted the work that I was a part of to matter. For me, that means a customer, society, has to benefit from that work. And Cummins, for those of you that don't know what Cummins does, we make commercial power solutions for commercial and industrial applications, heavily diesel, but other, and increasingly other power solutions. So the products we sell are at the heart of serving the economy and people around the world. And they were working on reducing the environmental impact of the diesel engine. So I could work on fuel cell technology that even today is only having a small impact, or I could work on diesels. And over that time, we've reduced NOx and particulates from diesel engines by 95%. Since 2010, we've improved fuel economy or reduced CO2 by 25%.
Wow.
So, and we build more than 1 million engines a year. So it adds up. It makes a big difference. And that revenue growth was really Cummins' strategy that we embrace the challenge of our industry, the challenge that our customer faces, use that to drive innovation, have a better product, have a better technology, and grow the company on the back of the change in technology, and then also grow globally. So with globalization, with infrastructure investment, there's been a lot of global growth and a lot of growth in the technology. And so the company's grown and been successful through challenge and innovation. In terms of my role, I spent a lot of my career in the engineering organization, so advancing some of those technologies, leading teams around the world, building our global capability. And then, of course, later in my year, helping develop the strategy of the company and, how we're continuing to evolve. And so, it's been a remarkable journey, and I'm just, thrilled to be CEO and being a part of continuing to lead the company forward and how we provide power to the world.
Wow, so being consumer and customer focused in this case was key, and then of course embracing change in technology. That's really remarkable. Jen, speaking of technology, I mean, one of the big signatures of your strategy since you started as CEO as Cummins is Destination Zero. And the way I see it is it was really your being responsive to your customers' needs who wanted new ways to deal with their issues with energy transition and to improve air quality, right? Those things were behind it. And my God, looking at it today, so many things have come of it. You've started Accelera, a new business unit, completely new business unit that's doing battery system solutions, that's doing electrolyzers for producing hydrogen, e-transmission, fuel cells, back to fuel cells, I guess, this time maybe at
Came
scale.
full circle.
Painful circle. But then that strategy is also mapped onto core business. You launched X15. This is large bore engines that are now fuel agnostic, which is so cool. And I've been looking at some media reports that say that it's really going to help prepare the industry for a post-diesel future. They're talking about it, right? So this is such a hallmark of what you've accomplished. So when you look back at those initial days when you were thinking this through, what really motivated you to go this route? And as you see the execution strategy playing out, to what extent are your own leadership styles sort of embedded in what we're seeing coming out?
Yeah. So this really built on this. We want to reduce the NOx and particulate emissions from a diesel engine. So we recognize the challenge of global warming. Many of our customers were setting sustainability goals. Governments were setting sustainability goals. And we wanted to innovate and help lean into the change that's needed in our industry. And so the challenge is you've got over 100-year-old company with history in diesel engines that's trying to pivot into zero emission space. The reality is for all of the different applications that we sell in, from a heavy duty truck, a pickup and delivery truck, school bus, construction and ag equipment, gensets, backup gensets, there's not one solution that'll work. The infrastructure challenges are different in each one of those applications. And so our strategy, Destination Zero, recognized that it was going to be a long and messy journey that required many solutions. The Accelera business, which focuses on those zero emission solutions, is working to innovate and advance those solutions in the markets where they're starting to make sense, drive innovation and grow the company for the future, while our core business is advancing engine-based solutions. And so you mentioned these, we call them HELM. It stands for high efficiency, low emissions, multi-fuel engine platforms. We're currently investing $1 billion in capital across our U.S. engine plants for these new next generation engine platforms, which will be the highest efficiency diesel engine. And that will make a big difference in this decade, and then have the ability to shift to natural gas. We have natural gas versions available today. Over time, hydrogen, maybe hybrid versions.
Biofuels.
Biofuels. We have a partnership with Chevron trying to advance biofuels. So it takes all of that. The strategy is we need a range of solutions. We want to drive innovation to move towards zero, but be mindful of what our customers need and where the infrastructure is at different points in time to do that. For me personally, this is why I became CEO. I was a chief technical officer for Cummins for close to 5 years. Kind of thought that was where I was going to be. but still had quite a bit of time in my career in front of me, and I'm passionate about what Cummins is doing and this Destination Zero journey. I think my technical background is really helpful as CEO as we try to develop and navigate this strategy and what it takes to deliver that. So it was really that purpose, and my passion for what we're doing that led me to the role. It's not easy. I think we'll come to this maybe in our discussion, but you have to be passionate about what you do, to really get through those tough times and stay committed to it. And while it's not easy some days, I do enjoy it.
I think Jen, we've heard you say before, it's all about purpose and people, I think is what you call
Purpose,
it.
people, impact.
And impact, that's right. That's what you need for impact. I mean, it's such a powerful, I think, philosophy in your leadership style. That's really amazing. Okay, so going back to these solutions, the question is, 20 years later, the average heavy-duty truck on I-65, what's it going to be running on?
Yeah, I mean,
What do you
it's a
think?
big question. I know we're going to be testing some of this
That's right.
in-road charging
That's right.
with Purdue. So, it's not completely clear what solution is going to win, which is why you've got to be investing in advancing different technologies. You want regulation and incentives that encourage innovation versus dictating a solution. I mentioned in the near term, higher efficiency diesel, maybe hybridization, natural gas, renewable natural gas in select applications. We're seeing battery electric powertrains in bus applications or some shorter mile applications. By the time we get out 20 years, the world needs more of this to move to lower and zero carbon solutions. So you're going to see more battery electric. We think hydrogen is a good solution for the longer haul application because of the range and power requirements. So whether it's burned in an engine or a fuel cell, I think the jury's a little bit out on that one still. But I hope our industry looks quite different than it does today.
Wow, and all this effort would have really been worth it by that time. Let's talk, Jen, about AI. Cummins, has certainly been a leader. AI is seemingly influencing you like on two stages. On one hand, you're leaders in using AI for, engine diagnostics, on controls, many other applications. But AI is also a new line of business opportunity for you, AI data centers and energy for those. So when you look at this next industrial revolution that's coming for us, what are the challenges you see that AI is bringing to your sector?
Yeah.
What are the opportunities, and how are you helping prepare Cummins for this?
Yeah, well, as you said, it really does impact us in a couple of ways. So from a products we sell perspective, our business is quite strong right now because we are one of the preferred providers of backup power for data centers and other mission critical applications. In fact, probably the most popular engine that goes into our gensets for these very large data centers is built in Seymour, Indiana.
Oh, yeah.
95-liter engine.
How about that?
Quite big. And the question is so there's high power demand. If you think about data centers, if you think about electrification, if you think about aging grid. And so, of course, we're thinking about beyond our role in providing backup power, which people want when the grid is fragile. What is the additional opportunity for Cummins to be a part of providing power into these applications? And that's certainly a strategic area for us. Inside the company, we, like everyone, is thinking about what is the role that AI plays from a product perspective, where we've been using it for a number of years to have prognostics and diagnostics that lets our customers know if they need to do a service event, what's the part, can we get it there for them? So kind of improving that overall operational performance and maintenance. How we change how we do work inside the company, whether it's in our plants, improving quality, improving safety by using analytics to help anticipate risks, personal efficiency. And then I would say we're on the still the early stages of experimenting with Gen AI. and how we use that to help make our employees more efficient, effective at what they do in a responsible way. But I'll give you one example. So we have this phrase, we say there's no new problems, there's only new engineers. So when you all come to work for Cummins and you don't remember the thing that, all these engineers before you had learned, and we repeated design issue, design flaw. We now have a number of agents, but one is Clessy, who was the original innovator of the Cummins diesel engine. So you can ask Clessy, and Clessy can help you access all this information from past engineers, and what they did, and so we can learn from that, and it doesn't replace the engineer. It helps make the engineer faster and better.
Yeah. So it's almost as if, like, the enterprise level knowledge of these specialized roles, you've got some, like, it continues to exist in the cloud somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool, actually.
That's pretty amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the partnership with Purdue. Cummins and Purdue, we've partnered for a long time, and there's so many things that are happening right now with Cummins and Purdue, and I'm going to just kind of reel off the top of my head, 5 things that I'm aware of, and you're probably aware of, a whole bunch others. But we're working together on research, on engine controls, on these fuel agnostic things, and Herrick Labs. We are partnering, as you mentioned, in the Engineering Research Center, Aspire, on the wireless charging of trucks that are going over. You've sponsored the data mine. We set up a few years ago a online badge on data science with Cummins. And then you're sponsoring a K through 12, outreach as a part of the Indiana Manufacturing, Competitiveness Center. It's probably, I'm missing quite a few things.
It's pretty good, though.
It's pretty good, isn't it? So what do you see at Cummins? What's the value of this partnership with Purdue, and where do you see your opportunities where you'd like to see us, do more?
Yeah, well, I think the beauty of the partnership is we're both at the crossroads of America. Right, so 2 hours away, creates an opportunity, and really working on some common parts of the industry. So as you said, we've done a number of joint research projects, and it's enabled because we also hire a lot of Purdue engineers, obviously me, but others, and so they want to come back, right, and be connected, and so it helps to create that connection, and then there's common areas of interest. So the one I was gonna say, as we talked about AI, we were one of the first when there was this idea of the digital badge. It was 2018, 2019, and we developed this. And I love this idea, which was the other thing that is so great about Purdue is thinking about new and novel ways of learning, right? And so the idea, I think this is going to be important. How do you reskill your employees for some of the technologies and tools that are available today? And then, as you know, I'm very passionate about how do you create opportunities for people from a variety of different backgrounds. So there's these intersections that we have that I think makes the partnership a natural one.
So upskilling in the age of AI would be an interesting one. And, we need thousands more engineers. Where are they going to come from, right? Like, especially in Indiana, how do we make that happen? No, those are really great.
Try to keep some of them in Indiana.
That's right. You heard that right here. We want to keep some of you here.
I came back. I didn't, I thought the East Coast was better, and then I recognized the beauty of Indiana.
That's right. You go anywhere you like, you guys, you're going to want to come back here. Nothing like Indiana. On that cue, I'm going to just a quick check in with our students here. The students here, those who are itching, really wanting to ask Jen questions, would you please start lining up in front of the 2 mics that we have got here, because we'll get to you pretty shortly after this, all right? Jen, speaking of the students, many here, I know, look at you as a role model, right? So some of them, I'm sure, are kind of thinking, you can kind of distribute yourself on both sides. There you go.
The line's shorter over here.
They look at your story, and some of them are probably thinking, hey, by golly, I just did my internship at X, Y, and Z. I could be in the C-suite there, right? Like, so What career advice do you have for our students, whether or not they aspire to being in the C-suite, but advice for impact and, successful careers?
Yeah, I mean, I feel so strongly that, the most important thing is to not focus on the title of the role, but like, what is it that you want to do? Know yourself, know what you're good at, know what you get excited about. I mean, I'm going to say I'm a live to work person. I love my work. I love the people I work with. Yes, I also love my family and doing things with them, but I think you spend a lot of time in your life working. And so if you find what you're passionate about, and if you continue to learn and grow and see where that takes you, right? See where that takes you. That's really what my career was, purpose, people, impact, and knowing myself and what I thought I was good at. Surround yourself by people that can help hold the mirror and help you see what you're good at. Because for me, were it not for John Wall, who said, what about engineering? Because you're good at math and science. Or my CEO predecessor, Tom Linebarger, who said, I think you could be CEO of Cummins. I would have not set that goal for myself. So you need the people that help you kind of challenge your thinking, help you see the real you, the goods and the bads of it, and stay open-minded to where that takes you. And I don't think graduating from Purdue, for those of you that are still students, like the first job is important, but stay open to where that will take you. So I'll tell you a little story. My daughter Helen, that graduated a year ago, when she was an intern between her sophomore and junior year, she had an internship, and she ended up in a group where she was doing computer programming software development. And she was really upset because she knew that that wasn't what she wanted to do when she graduated. And she's like, I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And I'm wasting the summer, and the opportunity to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. And I said, you've got your whole life to figure out what you want to do with your life. So, take it in steps, and follow your passion, and see where it takes you. And you never know.
And she probably learned what she was not interested in, right? There's a
Yeah.
learning experience there too. No, that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and learning what you're not interested in is
Right.
valuable too, especially in an internship.
That's right. That's right. You better do that than take a full-time job and then figure out a few years later. We got lots of questions. So where are we going to start from? Let's get started. Hattie, over to you first, and then we'll kind of alternate maybe.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much for being here and for all of the wonderful insights you've given so far. My question is related to you've been talking about how not only your company but the whole industry at large is moving towards new types of technologies, to green energy, to clean technologies. And based on all this context, what do you think is currently the single most important engineering problem that you really wish more young engineers today were working on?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunities for young engineers, so I'll start with that. But I mean, the challenge of decarbonization, which is obviously one I'm passionate about, is making those technologies more capable and more cost effective. So today, it's a big barrier. And if somebody's going to pay more for an electric truck to deliver groceries to your grocery store, do you want to pay twice as much for your groceries? Probably not. And so just continuing to think out of the box, right? Don't be constrained by the past. That's one of the things that I think, is the opportunity you have, is to help us think totally differently about some of these technologies and where they can take us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just feel free to introduce yourselves, what you're majoring in and stuff as well.
Hello, Jennifer.
Hi.
Thank you for coming back to Purdue and giving back to our community. I'm Andrew. I'm also in mechanical engineering. Yay, mechanical.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I wanted to ask you, how do you keep connected to your entire company? How do you feel, because you're a CEO, and it might feel like sometimes CEOs get isolated from what the original company community is.
Yeah.
How do you stay connected with your company community? And how do you feel what's going on health-wise?
Yeah, great. It's a great question. I think you have to do it in a lot of different ways. I mean, I try to get out and spend time with our employees around the world, so I'm intentional, whether it's I do broad communications to them so that they're hearing and then taking questions back in some of our global town halls, but I spend a fair amount of time just traveling, visiting sites, or having my team do that, and then sharing what we're hearing. Of course, we do surveys of employees and things like that, but I think you can't just kind of be in a ivory tower, you know, doing your strategy and not out in the plant, in the tech center, you know, in the service shop, really talking to people, with customers. I spend a lot of time with customers too. They're the ones that ultimately we need to make happy. And so fortunately for me, I enjoy doing that, but I think it's really important as a leader.
Yes, thank you so much.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Caroline Bodner, and I'm a senior in mechanical engineering.
All right.
So as a woman who has been able to reach CEO in a global engineering company, what advice can you give to my generation of women and engineers who aspire to reach similar leadership roles in regards to, you know, possibly facing imposter syndrome or doubts from others in the room?
Yeah, so you highlighted, you know, one of the challenges, if there are not people that look like you in your field, whatever that is, you can sometimes feel like you don't belong. And so that confidence in yourself and the separating the, like, is what I'm feeling real, or is it just, you know, kind of a perception, finding a supportive network of people around you, and just don't letting, you know, some of the bias that can exist in the world prevent you from reaching your potential. That would be my advice. I'm very fortunate. I mean, I have a true partner, and my husband, Jim, who was always very supportive of what I did and enabled us to have kids. He actually gave up his career to support mine. You know, each person has to figure out what's important to you and what makes it work, but believe in yourself and don't let other people tell you what that is.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, Jen. My name's Henry. I'm a sophomore in multidisciplinary engineering. Please forgive me. I feel a little underdressed for tonight, but I do
You're
have
a
a
college
really,
student.
I know. I do have a pretty important question for you, and I'm a bit selfish. It's personal advice. As a young engineer, I do have skills in more the technical side of engineering. However, I find my true passion and talent with working with people face to face. As I'm going about my second internship summer and my third and my fourth that are on the way,
Yep.
what advice would you give to set myself up for the greatest opportunities to be in an engineering role where I'm making an impact on people face to face,
Yep.
not just sitting behind a computer at a desk?
Well, I think there are so many different kinds of engineering roles where you can interact with people. So this is a great example of, like, know your passion, know what you think you're good at. So, and then say, what is the foundation that's important for me to build? But I'll rattle off a few. Customer engineering. We hire engineers into customer engineering that are helping go out, work with our customers, help them interface, integrate our engine, make it work, right? So you're constantly interacting with people. Working in a factory, interacting with the people that are in the factory, bringing new products into the market, you know, with the team. So think out of the box in terms of being an engineer doesn't mean you don't work with people. Like, these are the kinds of things I want to do. What are the skills that I want to be using? What are the skills that I want to develop? I will say, for me, I always have had a passion for leading people. I've gravitated, you know, in school, in my, you know, hobbies, to leadership roles. I was intentional about making sure I built enough of a technical depth so that I could be an engineering leader. Because you need to, you know, understand the technology.
Right.
But it depends on what you want to do. So many people get an engineering degree and then never actually do hardcore engineering. So the world's your oyster to figure out what you want to do, and I'm sure that you can find things that don't have you sitting day in, day out behind a computer as you do it.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Hello, I am Amanda. I'm a senior in biological engineering. Hear me out, not in me, sorry.
It's okay.
I know, posture. But we talk a lot about biofuel and sustainable futures,
Yeah.
which of course ties directly into what you
For
guys
sure.
are all about, and especially your personal philosophy. So I wanted to interrogate a little. I'm sure one of the harder parts about being a CEO, and something that I've always been curious about, you are beholden, of course, to all the people who help you make the big decisions for the health of the company, and you, of course, take a stance for the health of the world with
Yep.
the greener shift. How do you balance or align the visions and needs of your different sectors of the company?
Yeah.
Because you have business who's, always looking to increase the monetary strength of the entity.
Yeah.
But then you have the innovators who are looking to actually get the cleaner technology, but you can't do that without making the business people a little unhappy, especially at first,
Yeah.
right? So how, to the extent that your decisions tie into all this and take those risks, what's your philosophy there? What pushes you to keep your vision strong?
I mean, it's a great question because, of course, I was in engineering for many years and then I switched over to the business side. What I would say is first, Cummins has for decades believed in this idea of a stakeholder model. So we have a responsibility to our shareholders, right? And they expect certain returns on investments. That's what earns, their investment and belief in us earns our ability to continue to invest in our future. But the stakeholder model means that you believe for a company to be successful in the long term, it's not just about your shareholders, it's also about your employees and their prosperity and happiness. It's about your customers. It's about your community. You want to have a healthy community where people want to come live and work. So it's that. So we think about that broader ecosystem and have for decades. And that's one of the things I love about Cummins is that we're constantly thinking about how do you balance the health of all of those things. We'll do things that make sense for the long term. That said, if I invest in a new renewable natural gas engine and bring it to market and nobody buys it, I won't get a return on that investment, and it also won't make a difference to the environment because it's not actually replacing anything. So there's this tension of taking risks and investing in advancing technology, but deciding when you scale up and really try to bring it into the market. And when I was a technical person, I probably pushed harder for more money on technology, and now I push a little bit more on are we sure we're going to get a return on that investment? So you have to balance the two.
For you, it would be more about small steps and making sure the little advancements we do have become more accessible instead of going all in on something that doesn't have a foundation yet.
It's really how far out it is. I mean, we think about, farther out technology, you can make smaller investments in many things. And then as you build confidence, you make bigger investments and bring them into the market.
Right, thank you.
You're
Very
welcome.
cool.
You're welcome.
Hi, Jen. My name is Jonas. I'm a freshman here at Purdue. And at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I just want to say thank you for coming out here. And also, excuse my outfit. I had a deeper question. Just when you look back at the scope of your entire career, what is a challenge you faced that the solution and what you learned from it has stuck with you every single day?
Yeah, good question. And you're only a freshman. That's really impressive. So the thing that one of the lessons I learned was recognizing when I need to slow down and spend more time on something.
Yeah.
And that, you've got a plan and there's certain things you're going to do. I'm a planner by nature too, so make the plan, execute the plan, but things happen. Like this year would be a perfect example of that. There's been a lot of change in our business this year because of tariffs and regulatory things and all that. And so you call a timeout, you say, okay, what do we need to do? Where should I spend my time? There's been times in my career I didn't do that, and then things happened that I wasn't close enough to.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Hello, nice to meet you. I'm Abigail. I'm a senior in electrical engineering. And the question I had for you is, what is one major aspect of the current cultural or political climate that you think is having the biggest impact on the growth of Cummins or your industry as a whole, either positively or negatively?
One word, uncertainty. Uncertainty. Businesses need to know what's going to happen and how you plan and invest. So that's the biggest stress for me right now is uncertainty.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Evan. I'm a senior in computer engineering. Obviously, I know as you've said, you started off as an intern with Cummins, and then with time you kind of rose up, and then eventually now you're CEO. So if you had to narrow it down, I know this might be hard, what do you think is the main leadership principle that guided you throughout your entire career?
Yeah, it is hard to narrow to one. If I was going to pick one, I would say curiosity. Like I've always been one to be curious, to learn, to set the next goal, to learn, and just continue to grow and evolve.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Jen. I'm a mechanical engineering student here at Purdue University, and I want to thank you for your time here. I just had a question about your time at Cummins, and so a very common sentiment among especially engineers today is that you have to job hop. So 2 to 3 years at a company and you leave, try to get that promotion or a better offer. Obviously, that has been quite different for you. You've been at Cummins for over 20 years and have been able to make a huge trajectory being elected chairman and CEO. So what did you specifically see in Cummins that you were able to say to yourself, okay, this is where I want to be, this is where I can be the best person and the best engineer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to find your place where you feel like the culture is right for you. It's an environment that's right for you. You care about the work that's happening, and there's opportunities to grow. And so if you go someplace and you're not finding that, then considering if you want to move, something else makes sense. I mean, and I moved once, right? I came back to Cummins. Did that once, and then I felt like this was the place. There's tremendous opportunities to do. I've done a bunch of different things. I've done many jobs at Cummins. And I didn't have to move to feel like I could learn and grow and make a difference. So I stayed. I would say, as somebody that hires people, do be a little careful about how often you move if that's what you choose to do, because if I see somebody that has been hopping every 2 years and they've done that 2 or more times, I'm going to question if you're really going to be committed if I hire you to come work for me. So I do think there's a balance of learning, and thinking about your impact on a company in addition to how you think about your own growth and development.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey Jen, my name is Stephen Thomas, and I want to thank you for coming here to Purdue University today. I'm currently a sophomore, and I'd like to apologize because I'm not majoring in engineering.
That's all right.
But I'm actually majoring in computer information technology, which is like in the software development side. And so, as Boilermakers, we all want to make a difference wherever we work, especially as in a wonderful company like Cummins. So I guess in regards to that, in your opinion, what separates an average intern or an employee compared to an excellent intern or employee in regards to making a difference within Cummins?
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a really tough question. What separates? We want people that do good work, that know when to ask questions, know when you don't know, and when to ask questions and learn, that can interface and work well in a team. I think, at Cummins, this focus on the company first is important. We're a Midwest headquartered company, so this, more humble style of what does the customer need, what does my team need at first, and then I'm working hard and doing my part and bringing that and a little bit more to what I'm doing.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello, thank you for being here this evening. I'm Taylor, a sophomore in mechanical engineering, and I'm pursuing a sustainable engineering minor, so I was very inspired by all that you had to say tonight and all the great improvement that your company is doing. My question is, what mindsets or skills did you feel were very beneficial to help you transition from that engineering role to a more executive leadership position?
Yeah.
And do you feel like the transition came very natural to you?
Yeah, I mean, this, it's a little bit unusual to be rise in a technical organization to chief technical officer and then switch to a business role. This curiosity point that I made earlier, I mean, I always tried to understand the business broadly. I sat on business teams as an engineering leader for about 10 years before I moved into an actual business role. And so I like to say that I always thought about business, people, and engineering, or the technology. Maybe the technology was my first, heavier focus in the business, but I was thinking about both, and so I kind of switched that muscle. And I had to learn, right? So I had to recognize when I moved into a business role, in particular, talking to investors, talking to customers more in commercial discussions versus technical discussions. You have to learn, and then you have to be humble enough to say, I don't know, who are some really good people that I'm going to learn from, and invest that time in learning. And so that's what I did, pick people that I think were really strong at those things and did it with them and learned from them.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pratham. I'm a sophomore in mechanical engineering. Firstly, thank you for being here. My question to you was, since Cummins is has a great legacy with diesel engines, as well as being one of the leaders in hydrogen and electrification, my question to you was, how do you envision balancing your traditional strengths as well as moving to a sustainable future in the next decade?
So we actually, in our Accelera business, we created a separate brand, and we created some separate culture characteristics because we realized we needed to be more agile. We have this phrase we call strength of the incumbent, agility of a startup. So how do we bring some of the strengths that come from a 100-year-old company, the customer relationships, the understanding of the application and market, but we can be really slow. And so trying to be more agile, it is not easy. That's one of the biggest challenges, I would say. Also because customers expect the Cummins level of delivery, even if it's from our zero emissions business. But we're trying to recognize that in that space, you have to know when to stop, change direction, right? Develop something in a more agile way. And so that's really important.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm a senior in materials engineering here at Purdue, and I grew up under a dad who's a proud owner of several Cummins engines and have always known them as a great brand and someone very reliable and, relied on it for day-to-day work. How, with these new technologies coming out, trying to push, the next innovation, how do you build trust with this, cohort of, customers that know you as a diesel company
Right.
and have relied on you in that way for decades? How do you build trust that they can go into the next technology and know that it's going to work and it's going to be just as reliable as what they've done for decades before?
Yeah, I mean, for most of our customers, they're relying on our product for a business, right? So it's not, it's a business decision on what I purchase versus if you buy a car, right? It's more of an emotional decision, so it has to work. It has to work. I think it helps that it's Cummins because we come with some trust that we stand behind the product. We understand the market, but they're all still like, I want to try one. Does it work? There's challenges, right? There are challenges with moving from it's very difficult to replace a diesel engine when you think about power to weight and efficiency. So that's why it's going to be a journey of demonstrating the technology, learning with them, and building confidence over time.
Great, thank you.
Hi, Jen. Thank you for being here and taking all these questions. I'm Evan. I'm a freshman, first year engineering, but planning on chemical.
Okay, good.
So you've had a very successful career up to this point, but in a career like all of us will embark on in a couple of years, there'll be successes, but there'll probably also be failures. So
Probably.
what do we do when, at that point when we reach a large, huge failure? How do we get back from that?
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard. I think, everybody makes mistakes. It's important to learn from those mistakes. It's important to admit when that is happening. Obviously, you want to be thoughtful when you're making big decisions. It is helpful to have others around you that are giving advice and perspective to help make good decisions. But at the end of the day, I bet I see a lot of people from industry out here. I doubt there's any of us that would say we never made a mistake. And so you got to learn and grow and use that to help you be better.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Hello, my name's Anthony. I'm a freshman planning on industrial engineering. And this is the first time I've ever talked to a CEO. So I was just curious. Everyone talks about the 40-hour work week. And if you don't mind me asking.
Who talks about a 40-hour work week?
That was my question exactly. What would you say, how many hours do you normally spend a week working, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just curious.
It's definitely more than 40, and it depends on the week, right? I mean, there's maybe an occasional week. Well, first I will say, I believe vacation and time off is really important. I also believe prioritizing exercise, time with my family is really important. And so paying attention to like, how do you keep yourself in a healthy, balanced space? I have a demanding job, right? I have many evenings where I'm with customers, I'm traveling, I'm with the employees. And so there's many weeks I probably work 60 hours. And if you love what you do and you know how to keep the balance, it works. I also outsource things that I don't want to spend time doing, like cleaning my house and weeding my yard and things like that. So it's all around choices. That's why, besides doing something that you're good at and you feel passionate about, at different points in my life, I did different things. I worked part-time when my kids were born. So for each of them, the first year I worked part-time, and I went on to become CEO. So I just think, and I didn't travel when they were little. So I just think you have to say, at this point in my life, this is what's important to me. This is what I want to do. And find a place where there's different options and they're flexible and will let you do that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, so my name is Simon Zhang. I'm a 7th grader right now. So as a middle schooler, what activities do you think I should try to participate in or explore to?
Are you interested in engineering?
Yeah.
Are you interested in engineering? Are you involved in robotics at all?
Yeah.
That's a good choice. I mean, anything that lets you, be creative, like I did. Robotics wasn't a thing when I was a kid, but I did like math bowl, science bowl, all those things that let you learn math and science, and doing things with teams so that you learn how to interact with other people. But super excited you're doing robotics. It's a great start.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Clearly you're attracting, a wide, diverse population here.
Hey Jen, thank you so much for being here. I'm Nidhi. I'm a sophomore in mechanical engineering. And this past summer I worked at Cummins. I interned at Cummins,
Great.
India. Yeah.
Great.
So my question to you is...
Cummins in India, you said?
Yeah, Cummins, India.
Yeah.
My question to you is, you oversee a diverse portfolio of businesses, like right from engines, components, now etc. And every business comes with its own set of challenges, right? It's technical, management, financial. How do you navigate through all these businesses and all the challenges that they come with on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, one of the interesting things about Cummins is a lot of our businesses interconnect. So I have leaders in each of these businesses. They really own knowing day-to-day in their businesses, what are they doing, even the strategy. And then I'm helping in the particularly challenging ones or the bigger deals, especially those that connect across the company. So I just have to be thoughtful about, do you have the right team? And then the balance of when I spend coaching them versus getting involved, which as a leader, it's important to be mindful of. I would work a lot more than 60 hours a week if I was trying to be in everything.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. I'm headed to India the week after next, actually.
Hi, my name is Kavya Parmar. I'm a sophomore in mechanical engineering. I have got to say thank you for speaking here and thank you for hosting this session. It's been amazing to hear from the both of you. Coming to my question, you also studied at Purdue University and you know how it's filled with so many opportunities. What is your best advice for someone who wants to make the most out of the time at Purdue, to be well-rounded and have a holistic experience? And how you worked in technical but moved into leadership roles later on, and that's something I'm aspiring to do myself. So what are your advice for that as well?
Well, there's so many different student organizations that you can get involved in, and that also will provide a great opportunity to develop some leadership skills if you go into some of the leadership roles. So find things that are really interesting to you that help you learn and grow. I'm also a big proponent of considering doing undergraduate research. That was one of the things that I did. You know, the combination of undergraduate research and internships helps you better understand what you do with an engineering degree, because it's not exactly like engineering classes. And so those can really be helpful.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Jennifer. My name is Chinmay. I am a sophomore in mechanical engineering, and I'm pursuing undergraduate research here at Purdue. My question relates to how in recent times right now, a lot of institutions are facing funding cuts. We know that research and industry go hand in hand with each other. How are industry leaders like Cummins ensuring that innovation doesn't stagnate and talent keeps pursuing more improvement?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a great point. Maybe there's more we should be doing, Arvind. I would say, you know, we do joint work here with Purdue, of course, and other universities. I also spend a fair amount of time in Washington, D.C. and in the state advocating for what we think is important. Certainly innovation in the U.S. and making sure that we're investing in that is one of those areas that I think is really important.
Thank you so much.
I've got to just quick note, we are at time, so I'm going to quickly ask that we kind of set the stage for closing this right now. And for those who have not asked the questions, don't worry. Jen actually has agreed to stay for a few more minutes after we formally close, and you can have those questions. So let's give a huge round of applause to Jen, please. Then what we'd like to do here is maybe we can move a little over here. We're going to try and do a selfie together. And as we do this, I'm going to ask, so here's what's going to happen, right? I'm going to, at the count of 3, all of you need to say baller up, all right? So let's do a practice. 1, 2, 3. Whoa! All right.
Pretty good.
Right.
Pretty good.
So now do that next time I turn around and take a photo, right? Okay. Jen, would you like?
I'm glad you're doing this. I'm not good with selfies.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you all.